If I asked you what two things in this video don't go together, I'm willing to bet I know what you would say. You would say, what's this black man doing with that Trump hat on? Being a black streamer is extremely difficult. Let's get into it, guys. In this video, I'm going to explain to you guys why I think that being a black content creator, being a black streamer is extremely difficult. Let's fucking get into it. Number one, when you're a black content creator, everybody already assumes they know what you're going to talk about. They think you're going to talk about race. Unironically, this video is about race. But for the most part, if you go through most of my videos, usually, for the most part, they're not about race, and they're definitely not about race in a victim mindset. Usually, and I guess in this video, I'm making the exception because in this video, I am taking a victim stance. But for the most part, the videos are not about being a victim. It's usually pointing out how stupid it is when people think that they're a victim because of their race. Being a black person as a content creator, when people see you in the thumbnail, before they even click on the video, before they even read the title, they assume they know what you're about. They assume they know how you're going to behave. They assume they know what kind of content you make. And that is extremely detrimental because if you're a black content creator like me, who comes from a different background, a very diverse background, who grew up overseas, I'm not going to meet your expectation. Unfortunately, I'm just not. Most black people who click on my video are going to get upset when they hear the stuff I say. Most white people are not going to click on my video because they're not going to identify with me. And so the amount of people that I can funnel into my channel is extremely low because I'm not meeting the stereotype, the expectation that people who click on the video are expecting. I'm saying stuff that people don't want to hear. I'm saying the uncomfortable truth. I'm seeing things from a different perspective. And that makes becoming a content creator as a black person, especially a black person who does not fit into the monolith, extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. I'm literally fighting two battles here. I'm fighting the battle of being a person of color who's trying to make videos. And I'm fighting the battle of being a foreigner or an American-born person who lived overseas so long that they've basically become a foreigner, right? Your whole childhood, your whole adolescence, your whole teenage years, your formative years being in another country, in another culture. So a lot of people are not going to identify with me, right? But more than anything, I have noticed that the people that I have the most problem with are usually other black Americans. And I know this is true even for Americans that have never lived in another country. You know, like the Candace Owens of the world, those people get a lot of flack. They get called a lot of different slurs. I guarantee, I'm willing to bet, they get called more slurs from other black people than they do from white people, which is insane, which is actually insane because the white liberals aren't going to insult Candace Owens and the white conservatives are going to agree with what she's saying. So they're not going to insult her either. So you're literally only getting insulted by people who look like you. Besides being a person that everyone is expecting to fit some sort of predetermined personality type, being a black content creator, whether you're a foreigner or not, is going to get you less views if you do not fit this crazy stereotype, the Kai Cenat stereotype, the loud, obnoxious, over the top, rambunctious stereotype. As a black guy, if you're sitting here talking about reading books, if you're talking about finance, if you're talking about business, if you're talking about education, if you're talking about politics, you're probably not going to be able to get that many people right off the bat. It's going to be extremely hard for you. Most people are going to click on your video and see that you're just talking about different political situations. You're talking about social issues. You're talking very, as they would say, white. And they're going to click off the video. And they're probably going to leave a nasty comment when they do that. You have no idea how many times I've made videos, including this video. This video is probably going to get people riled up and mad. I'm probably going to have a bunch of comments from people hating on me. They're going to say, oh, this Scott Leonard guy thinks he's white. This Scott Leonard guy, he doesn't know his place. Because ironically, you know what the thing is? Ironically, when they tell you something like, oh, those same people you're defending, they'll turn their back on you. They'd make you a slave. What you're really saying is you don't know your place. You're saying you don't know your place, boy. The only difference is that you're in the same physical demographic as me, right? You're a black person, but you're still saying it's the same message. The white supremacists and the black supremacists have the exact same message. You're saying you don't know your place, boy. So that's the largest obstacle that you face as a black content creator. And maybe I should title this video differently. Maybe I should make this title, it's difficult to be a sophisticated black content creator, right? Is that a better title? I'm looking at my list of titles right now. I'm trying to find where the title was so I can see what the title's supposed to be for this video. It's supposed to be, where is it? Where is this freaking title listed in this video? The ugly truth about being a black streamer. That's what the title is going to be of this video. What I should probably name it is the ugly truth about, it should be the ugly truth of being a black streamer, not about. The ugly truth of being a sophisticated black streamer, because that's where the problem really lies, right? The problem really lies in what personality type you have, what ideology, what perspective on life you have as a black content creator. Because if I'm a black content creator and I have a ski mask on and I'm playing around with guns and I'm talking about hoes and drugs, I am going to get, unfortunately, some other black people to side with me and watch my content and think it's cool. If I'm riding around in Hellcats, doing donuts in intersections, I am going to get a demographic of, I would say, the ghetto black people to sign up. On the contrary, if I am on here and I'm whining about being a victim, oh, all this bad stuff happened to me because of my race. Where are my reparations? You know, the black community used to be strong, but the white man has kept us down. And I start with the rhetoric about being a victim and being held down. And I start talking about slavery and all of the horrible things that have happened in the past, which I'll give you, the things happened. I'm not taking away from that. But if I start talking about it and vocalizing it and crying about it, I'm still going to get a bunch of freaking sympathetic black people that also want to hear that narrative, that want to feel like a victim. So I'll get subscribers, I'll get clout. I'll get some white liberals that also want to pile on and they want to be allies. They want to feel like they're doing some sort of reparation by subscribing to my channel and helping me grow as a content creator because I'm a victim. And I'll get clout that way. But if I'm being the outlier, if I'm being the black guy who has independent thought, the black guy who can look at some of the Trump's policies and say, you know what, I agree with that policy. I don't agree with everything that the Trump people do or say, but I agree with this policy or that policy. I think it makes America better. I think that we should be trying to make America great again. Because look, when they say make America great again, I don't think that it's talking about every single aspect of American history in the past. But I do think that there was a point where America was seen in a better light. You know, there were positives in some areas. But why don't we pick and choose the areas we want to go back to, right? Why can't we go back to the point where America was a golden city on the hill that people wanted to aspire to move to and live in? Why can't we go back to when our economy was stronger? Why can't we go back to when there were unions and people had better jobs? Why can't we go back to when we had innovation in the country, when we had thinkers in the country, when we had production of goods within the confines of our country, when there were jobs, when there were opportunities? You know, you people, the craziest part about it is the liberal mind is so narrow that when they hear the phrase "make America great again," the first thing they think about is, oh, well, back in the 1920s, black people didn't have all of the opportunities that they have now. Okay, I'll give you that. I concede that point. So why don't we grab the opportunities that we have now and we grab the stuff that was good about the other eras and we combine all that stuff together to make the country stronger and better? I think this is a much better slogan than all cops are bastards. You know? I think it's a much less divisive slogan than Black Lives Matter. Your marketing sucks and your mindset is very narrow. Very narrow. I am not a MAGA guy. I bought this hat originally as a gag, but the more I wear the hat, the more I realize what the MAGA people are talking about. I will challenge any person who's on the left to go buy this hat and wear it for a day. Go walk out in public with this hat on and see what happens. See how people react to you. And then you'll understand why people on the right are so prejudiced against people on the left. Because the left acts like they have some sort of moral high ground. But in reality, you guys are very hateful and very vindictive as well. And don't come to me, don't leave the stupid comment saying, oh, it's like wearing a swastika. If you wear a swastika in public, people are going to harass you. No, because it's not a swastika, because the swastika represents a whole military movement where millions of people were killed and exterminated. You know? It's not like the KKK, because the KKK killed a bunch of people too. It's not like the Confederate flag, because the Confederate flag represents rebels that fought against the American government and that wanted to uphold slavery. This hat, nothing has happened. There's been a few bad policies and there's been a few good policies. You're just brainwashed. So being a Black content creator who's wearing a MAGA hat, who talks about certain things on the right and says that they agree with certain things on the right and says that they agree with certain things on the left, they're not going to do that well. It's very hard for me to succeed as a content creator, right? Does that mean I'm going to sell out and join a side and be the stereotype that everybody wants in order to get viewers and followers? No, because that's not the reason why I became a streamer. That's not the reason why I became a content creator. I became a content creator because I wanted to get my voice out there. I wanted to get my opinion out there. I wanted to create content. I wanted to influence people's thoughts. And if I can influence even one person, I'm satisfied. Now, I would be lying if I said I don't want more subscribers and more followers. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. I stream every single day at 6:30 p.m. But that's not the primary goal. The primary goal is to just come on here and be myself. And believe it or not, the fact that being a Black content creator, being a Black streamer is harder than being a generic Asian streamer or a generic white streamer or a Hispanic streamer proves my point that there really is deep-seated racism on all sides. There's deep-seated bias on all sides, because you shouldn't be judging a person based off of how they look. You shouldn't be assuming their politics, their philosophy, their perspective on life just by how they look. And that speaks volumes about how racist you are. As a liberal left-leaning person, you should be able to look at a Black person and not know what ideology they're going to have, not live in a stereotype. Oh, he must be, he's probably going to be a liberal. He probably supports Obama and Kamala Harris. Even though, to be honest, I did support Obama. I think Obama was a good president. I think Obama was one of the best. My point is, you can't look at somebody and just judge them by how they look, because you don't know that person. And as a Black content creator, a lot of the times people will just look at my thumbnail and they won't even click on the video because they already assume what I'm going to say. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. You miss out on listening to a very nuanced perspective on American politics. You really do. Anyways, I appreciate you giving this Black guy, this MAGA wearing Black guy, the opportunity. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. I stream every single day, like I said earlier, at 6:30 p.m. I'll catch you later. I'm out. Peace.